Hi friends, and welcome back to another episode of Making Things Fun, Cool, and Sexy. I'm your host, Holly Ngo, and I'm still glowing from one of the biggest highlights of my year so far, the incredible AMBayArea Summit. This was a huge moment for our manufacturing community, and it's a special personal milestone as well. Not only did I have the honor of serving as the MC for the entire event, but as a board member for the Association of Manufacturers Bay Area, AMBayArea, it was especially rewarding to help bring this important gathering to life. From welcoming everyone to leading discussions, it was such a privilege to help shape the energy of the day and connect with so many inspiring leaders and makers. Even more exciting, nearly 50% of the audience were first-time attendees. That's right, almost half the room represented new faces and future leaders joining us to shape the next era of manufacturing. That shows how fast our industry is evolving and how much opportunity there is to make a real impact. Throughout the summit, we heard amazing insights, including a keynote focused on the current state of our economy and how manufacturing plays a crucial role in America's resilience. It reminded me why reshoring, investing in workforce development, and embracing innovation are so essential right now. And that led right into my talk at the summit, which was called Mindset over Machines. But let me be clear, this wasn't about ignoring technology or automation. In fact, quite the opposite. My talk was really about how we, as leaders and manufacturers, need to level up our factories and capabilities by first leveling up our mindset. Because no matter how advanced your machines or software may be, they're only as powerful as the people driving the vision behind them. It's also about believing bigger, thinking strategically, and cultivating a resilient and forward-thinking leadership mindset that pushes us and our teams to innovate and grow. So right now, I want to share that full talk with you here on the podcast. Let's dive into Mindset over Machines. Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining me in Classroom 1. We're going to talk about leadership, and my session is called Mindset over Machines. Once again, my name is Holly Ngo, and I work at Silicon Valley Elite Manufacturing. So every day I get to drive by this very futuristic building. Does anyone know what this building is? NVIDIA. Yes, you see the logo there. Yes, it's NVIDIA's headquarters in Santa Clara. And I love learning about new technology and seeing what new trends are out there within manufacturing, within tech. So whenever there's a trade show, I always try to go to the most that I can that year. So this year I went to NVIDIA GTC, and I was super excited when their CEO, Jensen Huang, said that they partnered up with General Motors to work on their AI factory. I'm like, yes, American manufacturing, let's go. So after his keynote, I ran over to the exhibit. I'm like, oh, I want to see what they're doing in manufacturing and robotics and all of that stuff. So I saw these humanoids. So they're called humanoids because they look like humans, but they're actually robots. And the girl there, I asked her, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Where are these humanoids from? She's like, I don't remember the company name, but it's a Chinese company. Chinese company. It devastated me because once again, another American tech giant choosing to support China. I'm not sure about you guys, but I deal with losing contracts so many times because a customer will choose China over us. And let me be clear, I am of Asian descent. I am Vietnamese American. I was born in America. My parents left the communist country of Vietnam to give us an amazing life here. So I am very pro-America, and I am going to do whatever it takes so that we lead in manufacturing again. And we'll get more to this story, but before we go into this any further, I'll introduce myself. Some of you guys kind of know my story already, but for some of you who don't, I've had an industrial makeover. I used to be a red carpet reporter in Hollywood, and my life was kind of similar to a Hollywood movie. Okay, so I fell in love, and then I find out this guy was an alcoholic. And then I broke up with him because I couldn't handle it anymore. 2 months later, my goodness, he overdoses and he dies. And I'm left there heartbroken, and then I do my eat, pray, love thing. I go to Southeast Asia. I'm like, I need to figure out the reason of life and why am I here and all of this. And while I was there, I figured out that not only was he an addict, I too was an addict. And I had a prescription pill problem. So I came back to America, checked into rehab, and after that, I was completely lost. I couldn't go back to Hollywood because that's where all the prescription drugs and the partying was at. So I was left with manufacturing. My dad had started a machine shop, and I really resisted because it wasn't my dream. This isn't my dream. It's manufacturing. I am supposed to be Miss Glamorous over there, wearing makeup every day and like interviewing celebrities. What would I be doing in manufacturing? So as much as I resisted going into the family business, today, when I look back, it seems like I'm pretty destined to be in this industry, because you guys heard, like, I would love to make American manufacturing a leader again. And so now I work at Silicon Valley Elite Manufacturing with my family, and I wake up every day super excited because I don't know like which customer is going to call me and they need help on prototyping. It is the most fulfilling job I've ever had in my whole entire life. So I am extremely happy. And now I have married someone who I met in manufacturing. So my story is still being written. So more exciting news. This is our family business, and we just expanded into a facility that is 3 times the size of our previous company. This is my family, our employees, and this expansion, it's 11,000 square feet, but it doesn't sound like a lot, but our previous office, I had to share an office with John, my husband, and we would bump our chairs against each other because there was no space. So this is like huge for us. And my dad and I are now talking to like AI companies, robotic companies, to add some automation into it, add some technology into our machine shop. So it's really, really exciting times right now. And let me share a little bit more about the mission. So my dad's mission at Silicon Valley Elite Manufacturing, it started when he was actually building out factories in China. So before he started all of this, he was working at tech companies in Silicon Valley, and they wanted him to find parts that were cheaper. So he was going to China, Malaysia, and Singapore, building out these factories for them up until 2012. He was doing that for 20 years, and then he realized, we're gonna lose all of our manufacturing IP if we continue to offshore. So he did his part. He opened up this machine shop with my brother. And I would hear him talk about this and talk about how he spoke to the CEO and fought with the CEO over like, we shouldn't send things over to China anymore. And I didn't really get it until I started working here. And then, like I said, we lose contracts to China pretty often, to Asia pretty often, because they make things cheaper over there. And then, being a part of AMBayArea, learning about manufacturing, I'm like, wow, manufacturing creates a lot of jobs. So it became my mission. How are we going to be bringing manufacturing back to America? And this mission isn't just Christine and her father. How are we going to be successful? Once Silicon Valley has a humongous innovation manufacturing hub here, once California has a thriving manufacturing economy, once America is leading in manufacturing again, and beyond that, once we see the next generation lining up to take STEM and manufacturing classes, like that's when the mission is not even completed yet, but we know it's headed right there. But at the end of the day, we can't do this with the help of all of you. You guys are the manufacturing leaders. We need to make these choices. We need to make these decisions because the future of our country, the future of manufacturing really depends on all of us. And yes, our current administration, President Trump, he is very proactive on reshoring. But at the end of the day, it's up to we, the people, to make these decisions. So I really look forward to be working with all of you and, just really disrupting manufacturing and help bring manufacturing to this country because we should be a leader in this again. But let me break you with some truth, some bombshells. But I don't know, maybe you guys already know. But yeah, we're losing, right? China is producing more than us. And when I saw this and when I learned about us losing to China, I decided to interview 2 of our customers. One works for a medical company, and one works for a semiconductor company. And these are 2 giants. Like if I said their company names, you guys would know which companies I'm talking about. So I asked them, like, why do you guys choose to go to China or Asia for your parts? Why don't you choose us, like local shops? And the medical guy said, Christine, no, we really want to support local manufacturers. But the problem is, like, American suppliers, they're just mediocre. They don't put in that extra effort. And so we have to go overseas. It's not like we want to. The semiconductor company, he told me that, no, Christine, we have actually given a machine shop 3 chances to make a part. And they kept messing up. Like they forgot a hole here, and they just could not read the drawing correctly. And he's like, so we had to send it to Asia, and we got the part back, and it was flawless. You see, so like we really need to take a look at ourselves and see how we could become better, because the good news is there is opportunity. These engineers want to shop local. It's just a matter of us. Like, are we willing to level up? Are we willing to like increase our capabilities so that the reshoring, the manufacturing can come back here, so that they don't have to go to China? So how can we win in manufacturing again? I believe that there is a recipe to win manufacturing back. So first, we need to accept the reality. The reality of we're not leading and we're losing. And once we feel that in our bones and like we get upset and this sucks, second step, having the desire to win it back. And once we have this desire to win it back and this fire and this grit inside of us, let's build out the manufacturing infrastructure that's needed for the reshoring to come back. Because the truth is, if we want to reshore, we need to have the infrastructure in place for the manufacturing to actually come back. And if it's not here, manufacturing is going to go somewhere else again. They're going to go to Mexico. They're going to go to Canada. They're going to choose a different country to supply parts for them, because at the end of the day, they need parts made. Last but not least, we need to train up the next generation. They need to learn how to make things and build things again. And some more hopeful news, you guys. We have lost manufacturing through decades of offshoring, right? It wasn't only a year of like, okay, China, take all of our manufacturing. No, it was decades of it. But with the help of AI and technology and robotics, this is what we're good at, especially here in Silicon Valley. With the help of AI and technology, we're probably going to win manufacturing back a lot faster than how long it took to go over there. So today, I want to share with you how we could change our mindset so that we could win back these jobs and we could win back manufacturing with our mindset. So there's 2 types of mindsets. There's the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. The fixed mindset is someone who believes that they are born the way they are and they just have certain limitations. The growth mindset is someone who believes I could learn to become better. And I'll give you the example of like someone who saw the news about China, right? Let's say a manufacturer saw we're losing to China. Okay, the person with a fixed mindset, okay, I'm just going to close up shop. It's done. We've lost. Forget it. We can't do it. We don't have the capabilities, and they won. Someone with a growth mindset will think, there's opportunity. There's engineers actually want to make parts here. We're good at tech. We're good at automation. Let's use this to become better. Do you guys see the difference of what a fixed and a growth mindset are? So now I'm going to tell you 5 ways on how to level up so that you could win back some contracts. And all of these examples that I'm sharing with you today is real life examples that I've dealt with. And you guys might not be in machining, but you guys might be in some other sort of manufacturing, so you'll kind of understand the gist of it all. So number 1, take on the challenge. Labor costs in California and Silicon Valley are extremely high, right? It's expensive to make things here. So those days of making simple brackets or simple screws are long gone. We'll give that to Idaho, we'll give that to Ohio, we'll give it to another state with lower labor costs. What we're good at here is we have the talent, we have the tech, we have the machinery to take on the more difficult parts. And I'll share a story that how by taking on a challenge and a difficult part, it has led us to more business. So this medical company gives us some parts that were pretty complex. And I looked at it and our machinist told me, we can't make this part. Luckily, I had interviewed Glenn and I understood what brazing was about. So after I looked at the parts, I'm like, wait, if we actually, split this in half, we could actually braze it together, blah, blah, blah. So I checked in with Glenn. I'm like, hey, Glenn, can we braze this part as well as like machining? And he's like, yeah, you can. So I call the engineer and I tell him the story I suggest him like, we can't machine it, but here we could machine and braze it. And he was super, super grateful. He did what I suggested him to do. And he's like, thank you, Christine, for not giving up on my project and for going above and beyond and telling me how I could fix my design, right? Today, we're working on NPI projects with them and production parts with them, right? He has trusted us to work on more challenging parts. And I get it, like, no one wants to put in that extra time at the beginning to like do that extra work, but you never know what's on the other side. You don't know who he knows who's gonna refer more business to you. So always do your best. Number 2, partnerships. So we don't look at customers as just a customer because it's so short term and it's just like, how are we gonna win this one order with them? We like to look at our customers as partners because a partnership is long lasting, right? You're building a relationship with them. And at the end of the day, when they are successful, we are successful. Because like I said, if they come to us for some small R&D work, if they're successful, they're gonna come back to us to do the production work. And I'll share another story. We got this $250,000 contract in, and we were working with this company for about a year. A new buyer comes in and he's like, hey, Christine, I'm the new buyer. I'm looking over this contract that we have with you, and it's a little expensive. Can you give me a discount of, like, it was only $30 a plate, and the plate was like over $1,000. He's like, can you match Ohio's pricing? It's $30. And I was annoyed, so I took a breath, and I reintroduced myself to him. I'm like, hi. And I told him what we do and that we look for partnerships in our customers. And they have certain expectations out of us. On-time delivery, high quality parts, right? We also have expectations out of our customers. When you give us an order, you can't just cancel on us. We already bought all the material. And this conversation was so difficult. I was scared because how could I go to my dad and tell him, Dad, I'm sorry, I lost a $250,000 contract because I wasn't willing to give a discount. But I had to make this decision because I needed him to understand that this was a partnership. Otherwise, he would walk all over me moving forward, right? And this is about building trust. Good ending, the contract is still in place, and we're working with them. And besides just customers, we look at vendors as partners as well. One of our vendors is another machine shop, and they were slow. She told me that her family business was pretty slow a few months ago, and we were actually pretty busy. So I checked with my team. I'm like, hey, can we subcontract some work out because my friend's kind of hurting? And we did. And this is a reminder that this isn't a zero-sum game where when I'm winning and other people are losing, I'm winning more. This is like, we need to help the community and help other people succeed, because when everyone's successful, and I've shared this before, I'm like, Silicon Valley, if we're only left with 5 machine shops, that's very sad, right? But when we have a thriving manufacturing economy, people are gonna come here and they're gonna say, how do we make parts here? Silicon Valley knows their crap. They know how to make all of these parts. We trust them. So that's why it's so important to help one another out. create partnerships with everyone you work with. Number 3, ask hard questions. I just shared a very hard conversation I had, right? And asking hard questions, it's tough. Trust me, like, I don't like to feel rejected. I don't like to feel, sometimes the feedback is pretty negative and it's so uncomfortable getting negative feedback. But look at it as an opportunity to grow and to become better. It's really not personal. And you can never know. I would much rather have a customer tell me the truth than just ghost me and never order from me again. Because if they actually come to me and they're like, hey, Christine, can you improve on XYZ? And we do it, then again, it's building this relationship and trust with our customers. And I'll share with you some hard questions I've had to ask before. Why did we lose the bid? Was it pricing or lead time? So we'll quote jobs. And then if they say we didn't get it, I don't just leave it there. I take it further. Was it the lead time? Was it the pricing? Because again, we don't know how the market is doing unless we actually know from the customer. So if it's pricing, next time we'll readjust it a little bit. If it's lead time, okay, well, how are we gonna plan our production a little bit better to better support our customers? Number 2, why did you choose us and how can we improve? So even when we win a contract, I still ask hard questions, okay? I want to know, why did they choose us? One customer said, oh, because you're very responsive, Christine, and you work over the weekends if we have hot parts. And I was like, okay, well, how can we improve? And he told us, well, your inspection reports, they were a little confusing, and I think is your QC person trained up enough? That same week, I went to my dad. I'm like, Dad, we need a senior QC engineer. We need to level up because this is not good that our customers do not fully trust our inspection reports. So that same week, we hired a senior QC engineer, and he's been amazing. Number 3, how do you decide if you will keep it local or go overseas to manufacture? And I asked this at a recent trade show. They made these robots, and she said that she shops local, she has local suppliers, and that they were going to have a discussion about manufacturing overseas. So I asked, when do you make that decision? And she's like, well, it's based on volume and pricing. And she's like, and unfortunately, right now, when the parts from China are actually better quality than the American ones. So again, the truth of the matter is we can level up, and we should be leveling up, because if other countries can make it better, so can we. Why can't we? Number 4, how can we win back your trust? Okay, we all know we get rejected parts, right? We're not perfect. And just last week, I had one of the most uncomfortable conversations in my career in manufacturing. So in machining world and 3D printing world, there's post-processing Inconel parts, right? So you could print out metal parts, and then when you 3D print parts, they're not perfect yet. So they still need a machine shop to add the threads and make it perfect. Well, this skill set is still pretty new, right? A lot of machine shops don't even want to take on this work because it's pretty complex and cutting Inconel isn't fun. But I saw this as an opportunity, so I'm like, no, I want to get into this. So we got this opportunity, and this part took 2 weeks to make, okay? Just one part, an aerospace part. And the company was rushing us, and he's like, Christine, we really need the parts. We sent it to him, and the CEO of the company calls me. And he's like, Christine, we received the part, and we want to talk to you about the quality. Apparently, our machinist used the incorrect tool to make the part. And we cannot reproduce the part for him because they 3D printed it and we machine it, right? So we can't just make it again. And it was so embarrassing. If I could have crawled up in a hole, I would have, right? But I couldn't. So I'm like, okay, Christine, what are you gonna do right now? So again, took a deep breath, and I'm like, look, I am so sorry. We're learning right now because this is a craft that we haven't mastered yet. And you have 2 choices. And I totally understand if you no longer trust us and you just want us to send everything back and not work with us again. I 100% understand that. However, if you want to trust us, and we will learn what we did incorrectly, and we'll walk you through the process of how we're going to fix this moving forward, I would love this opportunity to work with you again. And this literally just happened last week. Good news is yesterday they asked us to requote a post-processing job. So I'm hopeful. But again, like, it's having these difficult conversations, right? And when we don't own it and we make up a lie, or we even try to like blame the customer and say like, oh, it's your drawings, it's confusing. Well, that's our responsibility. If it was confusing, why didn't we ask them questions? Why would we proceed? And that's what I told our machinist. I'm like, look, if you didn't know what it was, ask me. And then I could ask the customer, why are we assuming anything right now? So anyway, all a learning lesson. Fifth question, you went with China? How much were the prices? Did you include tariffs? Did you include shipping? And this is again, everything I'm sharing is real life experience. So a customer asked me to quote like a big package of parts. And he, a few months later, he's like, oh, Christine, I need your help modifying some parts. These parts came back bad. So I went over there, and I knew he went with China because the crate that the parts were in had like Chinese markings all over it. So I'm like, oh, so we lost to China. How much more were our prices? And he's like 30% more. I was like, did you include tariffs? He's like, no. I'm like, okay, how much? He's like, 20%. Cool, so 10% gap. Well, when did you receive those parts? He's like, oh, it took about a month. I'm like, okay, well, you could have got it sooner if you went with us. And then I went deeper, and I'm like, do you know that every time you support China or another country, you're not supporting your own community? Because every one manufacturing job, we're creating 2.5 non-manufacturing jobs. So where we're at in Santa Clara, there's quite a few other machine shops around us. So imagine, right? We're in manufacturing. We rely on other suppliers, material suppliers, packaging suppliers, restaurants, supermarkets. All these other businesses are around to support manufacturing. So on the inverse of things, when we lose one manufacturing job, we're losing 2.5. Well, when we're losing one manufacturing job, we're losing 2.5 non-manufacturing jobs. And that's how communities get depleted. So, I have these hard conversations with customers because at the end of the day, it's, we have to educate our customers. They don't know what they don't know. And they just probably think, oh, it's cheaper, it's faster, whatever it may be, right? But when you really explain to them about all of this manufacturing and how it creates jobs, they actually really do care. And this customer has been coming back to us, and he tries to support us as much as possible. Number 4, diversify. So when I first started working at our machine shop, there was a period of time where my dad had to send people off early because we weren't that busy. And it was really sad for me to see that these employees had to leave half day because they will get half day pay and they won't have the money to pay for feed their families. So I made a promise to myself that I will never ever let that happen again, that I will hustle and do whatever it took to make sure that we were always busy so that our employees would always be able to feed their families. And then I took a look at our customer base. During that time, my dad was strictly medical. And when you are focused on only one industry, that industry will drive you, right? So when they're up, you're up. But when they're down, you're down. And that's not safe for any business. Even your stock market, right? You need to diversify everything. So it's very important that we diversify our customer base even. Now we're doing aerospace, we're doing 3D printers and 3D printed parts. We are doing defense work now. And just last year, we put we put up art on the moon that we manufactured. So we've really diversified, and it's so much fun, and it keeps your business a lot more level than when you are dependent on an industry. 5, fifth but not last, certifications and education. So getting certifications will help you get more customers. Our medical customers have asked us to get ISO 13485, and we're doing that right now. But it's not always fun because it's a lot of time, a lot of work, a lot of money to hire consultants in. So I get it. If this is too far-fetched, there's other things that you can do. Getting ITAR compliant. So once I heard that defense work was increasing here in the States, I looked to see how we could serve them. So we became ITAR compliant about a month after we got some IT people in to secure our IT, and it was only a $500 registration fee. So, something like that was a really simple, leveling up. And right after we were compliant, we got 2 orders in from defense, right? So much opportunity. Going to conferences like this, or going to big trade shows, go to these places so that you could learn about how industries are doing, and then what opportunities you might have there. And take classes. Right now, I'm even considering taking some classes at a community college on machining so that I could be more technical. There's so many things that we could learn, and there's inexpensive ways, there's expensive ways, but just level up that way. So let me go back to this devastating graphic that I showed you before, right? We're about over 11%, we're producing 11% less than China right now. And if we read that China's and the US's share of global manufacturing output, so they're outputting a lot more than us. So I have another graphic to show you. China leads growth of global industrial robot stock. How are they producing more? It's through automation. If you actually talk to people in China, they are also dealing with workforce issues. Their next generation also just wants to do AI and all the other things. They might not want to go into manufacturing. They're leading because they have added automation and robotics. And going back to what I told you earlier, we could win again through AI and technology and robotics and advanced manufacturing. But the winning formula, really, it just starts here. It's our mindset. It's not giving up. And all of us, we kind of have a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. We have the choice to make those decisions. So I encourage you guys to, step into the growth mindset more. Level up. Because there's a lot of opportunity here in manufacturing for us to level up. Customers want us. These companies want to buy local. And if you really enjoyed what I shared today, my podcast is called Making Things Fun, Cool, and Sexy. I interviewed Glenn here. I'm holding his son's 3D printed part. And so I no longer interview A-list celebrities. I'm now interviewing A-list manufacturers. And if you want to follow me, that'll take you straight to my podcast, and this takes you to LinkedIn. Do I have any questions?
So, Christine, this is really good, because I think for a while I felt that we were just blaming China for everything, and not acknowledging the fact that I remember that back in the day, my father would not allow any one of us to buy anything that was from Asia. It had to be American-made cars. He never bought a car made anywhere else other than America. And he said the reason is because it's well made. And don't buy that hammer product. It says China. Nope, don't buy that at all. You have to buy American because it's well made. What happened where the 2 lines crossed in the early 2000s?
Yeah.
What happened that made that change? I mean, actually, it started going down in the 2000s, right? But what was it that triggered the fact that we stopped buying as much?
Yeah.
Or the U.S. started making less productive, or less well-made products, or what? Do you guys have any idea what happened?
I have no idea, but we could ask our economists out there to find out, right? I'm no economist, but does anyone else think, Glenn?
I know it started with semiconductor chips in the 50s and 60s. They started outsourcing the fabs. So it started as far back.
But I'm going because the quality. Yeah, no matter how much you're giving me something cheap, you do know, you go to the dollar store, it's really going to be, because the product is not going to be as good as buying the real thing.
Correct.
Like that. And for us to choose going that way, and now you're correct, now that China has
surpassed, yes.
And are making quality products, they saw the light. But what happened to us? You don't have
it's
just something to think about.
For sure.
What happened to us? Why did we decide it's fine to just do crappy things?
There were some narratives that manufacturing is dark, dirty, and dangerous. Right. There's narratives that trade school is for the rejected, right? You don't go to trade school, don't go into manufacturing. There were all these narratives, and now in California, it's like, no, don't go into manufacturing because it's a dirty business that's not green. You're hurting the environment, you know. And like the thing is, like when you're manufacturing in China or even India, all that air comes over to us within 3 days. So just because we're not doing manufacturing here doesn't mean we're not breathing in the bad air that's polluting us anyways from a different country. So it really doesn't make sense. And again, like I think it's like how the narrative of what the US has wanted to change us to, right? Where don't focus on manufacturing, there's other things to focus on, and we're hurting. But I do see a huge opportunity in consumer manufacturing. We're more industrial and like B2B, but I mean, there's like injection molding. There's so many things because in China, there's a lot of injection molding to make these like parts really fast, you know, out of plastic. So I've been thinking, I'm like, oh, like, you know, I don't have the bandwidth to do this, but if any of you guys have the bandwidth, like try to go into consumer manufacturing, because I think that, you know, if as tariffs go up and whatnot, you know, there's a huge opportunity to make things here again. Yes. And I also want to add something. It didn't flow into this, but you have a good point about China. So in India, they had a initiative called Make in India, and it was in 2014, where they were like, why are our gods, like, you know, India has a lot of gods. Why are our gods all made in China? You know, like we need to start making things here again. So what they did was they tariffed China like a lot, and especially solar. They tariffed China, and now look at India. They are thriving in manufacturing. So yeah, we may not, you know, agree with everything that our president is doing, but maybe there is something to do with his madness, because India did it, and they're very successful in manufacturing. Yes.
What's your QC program like? You said you hired a new QC person. Is it step by step with documentation, or is it the part's done and then he checks all the dimensions, or how do you get flawless parts?
We do a lot more in-process inspection. So let's say the part has multiple operations. Every operation now has to go through our QC. It does slow us down a little bit, but at the same time, like, it prevents rejects and it prevents making mistakes, and that actually wastes more time at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes. Yes.
Christine, you had a couple of questions up there that you asked your customers.
Yeah.
One of the things I think you talked about is how can we improve, how can we do things better.
Yes.
That's key, because if they know you're always trying to improve, it's important. The question is how often do you follow up with your customers on these questions? Do you have that part of the process that you do it annually, semi-annually? How do you do that?
Not yet. And I actually learned this because I'm taking this course at Harvard Business School right now on like value mapping, right? So you need to understand what your customer values. So that's why I've been starting to interview the customers. This is something I've only done like maybe 3 months ago, but I have been thinking, how can I turn this into a process that I ask them more frequently so that we know how to improve?
We have our sales team do like quarterly reviews and with each customer, so each book of business, and then we meet and kind of do that, and it's been helpful, but yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's some businesses that use a net promotion score.
Yes.
And they do it that way, which is much more basic, but however you do it, it's, you know, the end process is part of the feedback. That's important.
Any other questions? Yes.
A comment, if you go back to your slide, the China versus US level.
This one.
Yeah. I think the thing that's most telling here is when you look at the timeline, you're looking at a 50-year plus 50-year timeline.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen overnight. The unwind is not going to happen overnight.
Correct.
I think the thing that you have to take away here is what facilitated this to happen is partly what he was talking about on the economy side, is just this sort of consumerism. You know, there's whether we have like lots of programs and teaching how to make things, it's not just that. It's that combined with the fact that, you know, we didn't want to pay $800 for a PCR. we wanted to pay $50 for a VCR.
It's true.
And the global sea power that we wielded enabled us to do that, and go to low-cost countries and get that here. That's going away. I mean, people, I was thinking about it the other day, when I was a kid, I mean, we had a television, and I remember that was like an event. You went and you bought a television or whatever, and when I left home, my parents still had the same television. Now you hear people, they think they upgrade a flat screen TV every other year. And what happens is, they just take it to the recycling center and don't think about what happens to it. So, these are the things that are driving some of this in terms of the imbalance. It's the sort of inconsequential thinking. I think the other thing you have to say is, China, when they talk about their goals, and we talk about this in more longer-term initiatives, that's a thing that we really have to encompass here. We're collectively as a society a little bit still too short-sighted. It's a little bit about my generation, me. We need to be thinking about, I don't think about this for me, I think about this for my sons.
Correct,
kids.
yes, 100%.
What kind of likelihood are they going to have? And so when that thinking starts creeping into decisions that businesses are making, because you're right, businesses drive it, the talking heads up there in Washington just kind of, on the show stage, right? You have to sort of have a grassroots change, and that happens with longer term thinking.
100%. Agree. And that's what I'm talking about. We, the people, can make the change, right? So when we're having these hard conversations with our customers and explaining to them and telling them, hey, whenever you go to another country, you're not supporting your own community. Like when they understand this, then they'll make better decisions. But the thing is, they don't know what they don't know. And these bigger tech companies, they do care about margins a lot more than morals, right? They just want to make more money. So I hope that this narrative can change, and I hope that people can change. But you're right, we're at a place where, dating apps, you could just date whoever now. It's so fast. Oh, you want something from Amazon, next day it's on your porch, right? And a lot of this stuff is like junk from China, and it's like being filled in our landfill now because the stuff doesn't last from China. Yes.
Something else to keep in mind when you offshore it, you're experiencing you're working through the issues, you're working through the problems, you're solving the problems. When you offshore it, those problems are now being solved overseas.
Yeah.
And they go from problem solving to basically leading in the development and leading in the designs, and pretty soon leading. And we don't see this a lot, and again, because of Harvard, I am with a bunch of international students, so they tell me things that I had no idea because we just don't know about this. China's leading in car manufacturing. We went to London, and there's BYD cars everywhere. They're not allowed in our country, so we don't know what we don't know. But the rest of the world, they're buying Chinese-made cars. They're leading. They're manufacturing a lot faster, cheaper, and better than us. It hurts. But, we can make the change. We can. There's like so much opportunity. But just having that desire, to win it back.
Tata, Mahindra.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope that sparks something for you. When we elevate our mindset, we elevate everything from our shop floors to our culture to the way we show up for our customers and teams. And right after sharing that, something happened that truly surprised and humbled me. During the awards ceremony, which I also had the joy of leading, I was awarded AMBayArea's Member of the Year. This recognition was deeply meaningful because it was about the outreach, all the tours, panels, mentoring, sharing my story, and building bridges to help more people see manufacturing as the vibrant, innovative, and essential industry that it is. It's not just my win, it's a win for all of us working so hard to advance this space and to inspire the next generation. And now, I'd like to share that special moment with you too. Here's my acceptance speech from the award ceremony, straight from my heart.
We're really proud to be here to present this award. To manufacturers who lead with innovation and passion and make a lasting positive impact on the community. And it's my pleasure to present the 2025 AMBayArea Award, Member of the Year Award, to Silicon Valley elite manufacturing.
Recognizing that offshoring was eroding America's manufacturing capabilities, Viet Ngo founded Silicon Valley Elite Manufacturing in 2012. The precision machining company remains dedicated to quality, craftsmanship, and exceeding customer expectations. Today, Viet's son, Victor, and daughter, Christine, continue to grow the family business and recently announced plans to expand operations with a larger facility, more machines, and new certifications. A proud supporter of growing local talent, they plan on having monthly student tours of their new facility. In addition, Christine has become an outstanding ambassador for Bay Area manufacturers, presenting to high school students throughout the Bay Area and serving on the boards of AMBayArea and CMTC, and as an ambassador for Women in 3D Printing. She also promotes the industry through her podcast, Making Things Fun, Cool, and Sexy. In recognition of these contributions to support and promote manufacturing in the Bay Area, AMBayArea is proud to recognize Silicon Valley Elite Manufacturing as the 2025 AMBayArea Member of the Year.
And I swear this was not rigged. I had no idea I was gonna get this. So I am incredibly honored to be here and to receive this award. First and foremost, I want to thank my father and my brother for building this business and welcome me into the business. And thank you, AMBayArea, for this recognition. It truly means the world to me. When I first joined this community, I never imagined standing here today. I just knew I wanted to help amplify the voices of American manufacturers, promote innovation, and show the world that this industry is not only vital, but vibrant, dynamic, and full of opportunity. From factory tours to podcast episodes, women in manufacturing meetups, to speaking at schools, each outreach effort has come from a deep belief that manufacturing is the backbone of our economy, and we all have a role to play in reshoring, rebranding, and reigniting pride in what we built here in America. I want to thank the AMBayArea team and fellow members for the support, encouragement, and collaboration. This award may have my name and my family's business name on it, but it represents all of us, especially those who show up every day to push our industry forward. Lastly, I want to dedicate this to the next generation. May they see this industry not as a backup plan, but as a bold and exciting path where you could build a life, a legacy, and a better future of our country. Thank you. So let me put my MC hat back on. That includes the awards. Congratulations to all my fellow AMBayArea Manufacturing Award winners this evening. And thank you for joining us for the annual AMBayArea Summit. I saw so many new faces. I'm so happy that our community is growing, and I hope to see you guys at our events throughout the year. Let's go grab a drink and some abs. I'll see you on the second floor. Thanks again. That moment will stay with me forever. Not because of the award itself, but because of what it stands for. That every bit of effort we make to elevate manufacturing matters. Whether you're running a shop, mentoring others, speaking up, or innovating on the factory floor, you are making an impact. And together, we are making manufacturing fun, cool, and sexy. And most importantly, strong for the future. Thank you so much for tuning in today, for supporting this mission, and for being part of this growing community. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who loves this industry too. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss what's next. If you or someone you know who would like to be on the show, we would love to have them on. Just drop me an email or shoot me a DM on Instagram or LinkedIn. Details are in the description below. Big things are ahead in manufacturing, my friends. I'll see you guys next time.